This sonar image was captured 100 meters beneath Loch Ness just last year. The boat captain who found it is convinced he has detected the Loch Ness Monster. But here's what he doesn't know. This image reveals why Loch Ness is the most monster-generating lake on Earth. There are over 100 reported monster lakes worldwide, but none produce the sheer volume of sightings like Loch Ness.
This is a carryover of something that should have been dead 65 million years ago.
New clues are emerging this morning on just what, if anything, is living in Scotland's famed Loch Ness.
Sonar keeps picking up contacts with things that are bigger than the fish, and people keep seeing things that are bigger than the fish.
I saw it in August 1937.
What was it like?
Like an elephant's back or an upturned boat.
Oh, very like a swan, long neck, small head, and one big hump about 30 feet long.
Just had one big hump and a head something like a dog.
You were sitting here telling me that there's a dinosaur in this lake.
Over 1,000 reported encounters in 90 years, 41 million pounds in annual tourism, endless expeditions.
There's plenty of other lakes and lochs, water areas throughout the world that have monsters. It's not, but we're the one that's best known. 2 million people come here or more.
Because let's face it, the basic idea is quite exciting and romantic, there's a part of me that would love it to be true.
So the real question isn't, is there a monster in Loch Ness? The question is, why does this lake in particular turn ordinary people into believers when thousands of others don't?
We've had them all. We've had all the types of scientists. We've had all the cleverest academics. We have had philosophers. We have had white witches. We've had nutcases. We've had people, whether they're UFO experts or they're alien experts or they're Bigfoot experts. We've had it all, but nobody has come up with a definitive answer. What are they seeing?
Lake Champlain in Vermont, 12 reported sightings annually. Lake Okanagan in Canada, 8 sightings. Even my home state of California has their own Nessie. Lake Tahoe's Tessie reports at least 12 sightings each year. But Loch Ness, over 200 annually. And that's not just more. That is statistically impossible unless something unique is happening here.
I think probably the exhibition records maybe 1,500 sightings since the 1930s. There's probably been about 3,000 sightings, one way or the other, from all aspects of what people are seeing.
Something just shot across the bay in front of me, and you couldn't tell what it was. You could only see a spray of water coming off of something, like a torpedo.
Steve Feltham gave up his house, his job, his normal life to watch this lake. He holds the Guinness World Record for the longest monster hunting vigil. He spent 32 years watching one lake. No other lake in the world has a grip on people like this one. These aren't delusional people. They're intelligent, articulate, and absolutely convinced they saw something. So what's going on here? The difference is literally in the water and the effect it has on people. Because it turns out this isn't just any lake, and that might be the key to everything. Time to dive deep, literally. This is what lies beneath the legend, a geological scar older than complex life itself.
Loch Ness lies in the Great Glen fault line, which tears all the way across Scotland. And it results in a very deep loch, not particularly wide, but very deep. It is a fault line. In fact, there's probably been a lake here in Jurassic times.
Loch Ness isn't just a lake, it's a wound. 400 million years ago, tectonic forces literally ripped Scotland in half. Then, toward the end of the last ice age, Scotland's Great Glen, an 80-mile valley, was filled with a huge glacier. When the ice melted, a trio of lakes were formed: Little Loch Oich, Loch Lochy, and Loch Ness, the largest of the three. Loch Ness is 23 miles long and 755 feet deep. That's deeper than the North Sea. But recent data has now purportedly discovered that part of the loch reaches 812 feet deep and has been renamed Nessie's Lair. The water is also pitch black from the peat. That visibility drops to 4 inches. In a clear lake, your brain processes normal visual information. In Loch Ness, your brain is forced to fill in massive gaps. But here's what makes it unique and potentially habitable for something unknown. Most lakes are like layered cakes, warm on top, cold below. And twice a year, they flip. The layers mix, oxygen goes down, nutrients come up. It's how lake ecosystems stay alive. But Loch Ness, it only mixes once a year, and that's because of the thermocline effect, which causes these layers to stay separate year-round. This makes the environment super stable, allowing life, including fish, to survive even in its deepest regions. It's essentially a liquid time capsule. So if something got trapped here at the end of the Ice Age, it could theoretically still be alive. This has led to the most persistent theory that Nessie is a surviving plesiosaur, a prehistoric marine reptile. 8 to 40 feet long, 4 flippers, distinctive long neck. It matches witness descriptions perfectly. The only problem is that plesiosaurs went extinct 66 million years ago, along with the dinosaurs. We have thousands of plesiosaur fossils from before the extinction. We have 0 after it. Normally, I'd agree there is 0 possibility a plesiosaur could still be kicking around somewhere, but there have been circumstances where animals we thought were extinct pop back up in the world. The most prime and relevant example of this is the rediscovery of the coelacanth, which was thought to be extinct for the last 80 million years until it was rediscovered in 1938. There's just one problem with this theory. Actually, there are 3 major problems that completely destroy the plesiosaur hypothesis. Let's do the math that monster hunters don't want you to see. Any ecosystem needs roughly 10 pounds of prey to support 1 pound of predator. So let's say a plesiosaur is a 30-foot creature weighing around 3,000 pounds. It would need 200 pounds of fish daily. The entire fish population of Loch Ness couldn't support even 1 creature of that size.
Now, prior to all of this, the scientists across the board categorically say there is nothing in Loch Ness. There is no plesiosaur. There is nothing left over from the Jurassic period. There is nothing unknown to man. There's no Weil's catfish. There is no Greenland shark. There is no migratory sturgeon. Nothing. Because the food supply in Loch Ness is not large enough to sustain a creature or creatures that the eyewitnesses are reporting.
And there's more. The problems go deeper. Plesiosaurs were marine reptiles. They lived in salt water, whereas Loch Ness is a freshwater lake. Any plesiosaur would eventually be slowly poisoned through osmotic stress. They were also cold-blooded reptiles that needed warmth. Loch Ness maintains a cool 42 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Any reptile would die of hypothermia.
But of course, it was a reptile and Loch Ness is very cold.
But here's the killer argument, literally. Plesiosaurs were air-breathing reptiles, which means they'd need to surface every few hours. This loch sees over 1 million visitors annually, constant boat traffic, dozens of cameras. So where are all the breathing sightings? So if it's not a plesiosaur and the ecosystem can't support large predators, then what are people seeing? Remember this image that started our investigation? The boat captain said sonar doesn't lie. And technically he's right. The sonar isn't lying. It's being deceived.
I used scanning sonar, like a sort of underwater radar scanning around. But the great difficulty was we didn't have any GPS or anything like that, and it was very difficult to ascertain whether an object was actually moving. But we put in hours and hours of sonar patrol. We accumulated about 40 contacts that we couldn't really understand. They seemed deeper and stronger than most of the fish population. Subsequently, we've realized that a lot of the fish population was smaller than we thought. But we were also concerned about tethered debris of some sort. Fishermen dropped things in the loch. Even investigators had lost cameras in the loch.
Here's what sonar operators don't tell you about Loch Ness. The physics of this loch create a perceptual quicksand. Everything seems to conspire to trick your senses, but it's just physics. So here's what I mean. Sound travels at different speeds through different temperatures. With distinct layers that never mix, Loch Ness creates acoustic mirages, sounds appearing to come from wrong locations that create phantom readings. Plus, the steep underwater cliffs that form Loch Ness create essentially a 23-mile acoustic tunnel that amplifies and distorts everything. The most prime example of this was Operation
Deepscan, is led by the veteran Nessie hunter Adrian.
Operation Deepscan will carry out a number of scientific studies at Loch Ness, and it will be better equipped with a newly developed echo sounder which throws a beam straight downwards.
In 1987, the most comprehensive sonar search of Loch Ness in history used 24 boats with military equipment. They detected large moving objects in the lake. But further analysis revealed these were acoustic interference patterns. Essentially, the sonar systems were detecting each other, not monsters.
Deepscan was big, yes. I had a fleet.
Schools of fish can appear as single large objects. Gas bubbles from decomposing matter create mysterious blips. Debris appears larger than it actually is. But here's what's fascinating. Even after this was proven, people still cite Operation Deepscan as evidence that something is down there.
And there were three we didn't really understand. I still don't. It might have been some form of mutual interference between the sounders, but they certainly weren't huge. That's the point.
So why do people keep believing? Well, because we currently don't have technology that can overcome all of Loch Ness's unique conditions. It's a bit of a catch-22. Since the lake's acoustic properties are so complex, it makes it difficult for current technology to definitively prove or disprove the existence of large creatures in the loch. The physics alone in this unique environment creates enough uncertainty that both believers and skeptics alike can find support for their side of the story.
Hence the reason number of sites. So if you say 99.50 are identifiable, it still leaves you 0.50 that are not identifiable. And that is where the problem arises. What are these people seeing? What are they seeing? Can anybody explain to me what they are seeing? And that is the big question. That is the $1 million question. What are they seeing? And I know far too many people that have seen, not hundreds of people, a fair number of people that have seen something over the years that is totally beyond all comprehension. What did they see? And as I say, that is where the big question arises.
For example, there are areas of the loch where there is no sound at all. Some of the underwater rock formations cause dead zones where sonar can't penetrate, even with modern equipment. Loch Ness enthusiasts believe these dead zones are hiding objects or even creatures from acoustic detection. So that monster detected 100 meters down, most likely a school of fish, acoustic interference, or debris, magnified and distorted by Loch Ness's unique physics. But if sonar can't solve this mystery, what about something more definitive, like DNA? In 2019, scientists conducted the most comprehensive biological survey ever attempted in the loch, extracting environmental DNA or eDNA from 250 water samples across 18 months. The results?
There is absolutely no evidence of any reptilian sequences in our samples. So I think we can be fairly sure that there is probably not a giant scaly reptile swimming around in Loch Ness.
But they did find something interesting. Eels. Massive quantities of eel DNA at virtually every location sampled. The lead scientist, Professor Neil Gemmell, said the quantity suggests something they hadn't considered: giant eels.
There is large amounts of eel DNA in Loch Ness. Eels are very plentiful in the loch system. Every single sampling site that we went to pretty much had eels. And the sheer volume of it was a bit of a surprise.
And of course, there's been speculation that might mean the Loch Ness Monster could be a big eel. But of course the eel DNA would be exactly the same as all the little eels, because the idea is the unique eel, the eel that likes it so much in Loch Ness that it doesn't go away to the Sargasso Sea to breed, and just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But the DNA would be identical.
So could the Loch Ness Monster actually be a giant eel? The results of the study led to speculation about giant eels, but as we've already seen, ecosystem analysis proves the loch can't support such large creatures. So then why do people still insist on believing something is in this lake?
There's a phenomenon known as pareidolia, and that's basically a fancy term for the situation where we think we perceive something kind of quite clearly that's actually essentially kind of visual noise. I mean, common examples of pareidolia would be things like thinking that you see a face in the clouds, or in the bubbles on your coffee cup, or in a stain on the floor, or the pattern on the wallpaper, and so on. And the thing is that as a species, we are very good at spotting patterns and reading meaning into what's going on around us. But sometimes we overplay it. Now, if there's something, say, a log floating in the water quite a distance away, bobbing up and down in the waves, it's quite easy for people to believe sincerely that they've not only have they seen the monster, but they will add in details that aren't actually there, because a lot of perception, and this is the point about pareidolia, we can end up kind of adding in extra detail that isn't even there. So if we go out there kind of either hoping or expecting to see the monster somewhere out there, I mean, and again, if you've ever been to Loch Ness, you know, it's a huge expanse of water. It's kind of quite dark and grey and gloomy most of the time. It's very easy for people to genuinely believe they've seen something.
I accept that people are honest in what they are seeing, and sometimes fairly accurate in terms of what they are seeing, but there's often something behind it which will change the interpretation of what they're seeing.
Every year, this region welcomes over 1 million tourists hoping to glimpse something impossible. The local economy depends on keeping this mystery alive.
Apart from the phenomena, the Highlands of Scotland are a completely different area from other parts of Great Britain. They're not even the same as the lowlands of Scotland. Certainly not the same as England. It's completely different. And it's very, very attractive. We've got all the wildlife of Great Britain round the shores of Loch Ness now. We have squirrels, foxes, otters. In the water itself, we have the very rare Arctic char. We have huge cannibal trout, ferox trout, well over 30 pounds, some of them. We have lampreys, eels, brown trout, and of course, we have the Loch Ness Monster.
So after examining the geology, the chemistry, physics, biology, and even DNA evidence, here's what the science tells us. There is no large unknown creature in Loch Ness. But that's not the end of the story. It's the beginning of something far more fascinating. Because what we've actually discovered is a master class in human psychology. When we scan dark, rippling waters expecting to see something extraordinary, our brains literally change how they process visual information. A log becomes a head, waves become humps, shadows become movement. The thermocline creates acoustic phantoms that bend sound into impossible shapes. The peat chemistry generates visual interference patterns. The geological structure of the loch amplifies and reflects every input into something potentially extraordinary. It's this perfect storm of scientific phenomena that creates the illusion of life where none exists.
At the end of the day, people love a mystery. Mystery and the imagination put together is just phenomenal. And people want to debate about it, want to talk about it. Everybody's got their own opinion what it is. Everybody's got their own opinion on what it's not. Everybody's got their own opinion that they want to see it. Everybody's got their own opinion that they don't believe in it. And everybody's got their own opinion that they're 110% believe in.
The Loch Ness Monster endures not because evidence supports her existence, but because she fulfills something deeper. Our hunger for mystery, our need for wonder, our desire to believe that reality contains more than what science can currently measure. And in a strange way, that is more beautiful than any monster could be. Because what we've discovered is that Loch Ness is extraordinary. Not because of what lives in it, but because of what it reveals about us.
Let's face it, the basic idea is quite exciting and romantic, you know. There's a part of me that would love it to be true. So there's a hell of a lot we don't know, and that's the whole point about science. It's always about kind of chipping away at the boundaries and trying to learn more, and often throws up more questions than answers.
The monster isn't in the water, it's in our imagination, and that might be the most powerful place of all. If you enjoyed this video, then you might like our even deeper dive into Loch Ness with none other than Dr. Adrian Shine. And that is coming up next, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that one. Thanks for watching, and from everyone else at Today Learn Science, we'll see you at the next video.